Hello, good evening everyone, good morning wherever you are, or midday even for some people. Thanks a lot for coming along. Well, this was the major support that we were looking at last time. I certainly wasn't expecting so strong of a reaction, and I thought that we may maybe see more of a base before we bounce, but this certainly was a spectacular reaction. The problem with it so far is that if we draw from the lows that we made at the start of the year, or the December lows, that we're still stuck in between the 61.8 and 38.2 golden ratio zone, and we're still consolidating and tightening up the moving averages and bringing them into the middle. So what I expect from here is a bit of consolidation. You know, if you trade a moving average strategy, what you tend to be looking for is a bullish cross of your moving averages and a move above the moving averages. So like we saw down here, we get a bullish cross and a move above the moving averages, and then we pull back and we look towards them for support and then to carry on higher for the trend. So if we are going to trend higher here in Bitcoin, then that's what we should see. And because we are in that 61.8, 38.2 golden ratio zone, we should expect it somewhere in the middle. Now, there's a little bit of an argument that, about where to draw this fib from. You could make an argument about drawing it from the start of the year. So this is the yearly low and the yearly high, in which case our 50% back middle kind of level that we would be looking to buy is around 8657. If we go from the start of the year, it goes a little bit lower to 8560. So I think there's a kind of $100 ideal range here in the middle. So I'm still expecting Bitcoin to consolidate, pull back somewhere towards the middle here, then turn higher again. If we look on lower time frame, we are making a second wave pretty nicely, but this kind of very rapid 40% kind of move came from the stops of the people who were short. This wasn't just people buying. This triggered a move, and then because we had this huge typical sort of wave 4 pattern here where we broke down. So as soon as we got back above here, we were now triggering the stops of all the people who sold Bitcoin short. And so that is the rocket fuel that got us up here. Now, that was the people who got stopped out. Not everybody would have been stopped out on this move. In fact, I guarantee you there are some people who are still short, praying that this price is going to come back and let them out without too much pain. And so this is why it's unlikely, after a really sharp move like this, that we will come all the way back and retest the lows. I'm not ruling it out, but we'll only do it by a really slow, grindy process where each time we come down, some people are short will go, thank God I'm going to get out here. I can't take the pain anymore. And until we've worked them all out, those shorts, and then we maybe do a full retest of the lows or a deep retrace. But otherwise, and this might sound pretty weird, but most strong reversals, most proper reversals, start with a short squeeze. Most bottoms start with a short squeeze. Most tops start when everybody's in the pool and everybody's long. That's when you get a top. So that's what I'm expecting in Bitcoin. If we take this as an equal measured move from this high to this low, and we make an sort of ABC pattern, we could come a little bit lower here at Binance down to 8387. Let's look at some other exchanges. I don't know, Coinbase. So if we take a look at Coinbase and where we are with these, I'll take some of these lines off. And we did an equal measured move here like this. Let me line it up properly. Then we'd be looking for a retest of the lows at 88.98. That's maybe all we do, where this is 61.8 of the first swing. Let's make sure I've done it quickly. 89.36, sorry. Or we could come back to 83.16. I think looking at this in Coinbase, it's more likely, that we come back to this higher level with this short squeeze, but I may be wrong. Let's see. So that's Bitcoin. Need this next leg of correction to bottom and start turning up again, and we're not quite there yet. How am I going to buy it? To be honest, I'm watching this on a 4-hour, and I'm watching for this Heikin-Ashi candles which is like Heikin-Ashi are like a moving average on a candle, and they change color when it turns. And so I'm watching for this 4-hour to make a bottom and start swinging up again, and this to bottom. And then I think I'm going to buy some more Bitcoin. So a retest of the lows down to 8,900, maybe down to 8,500 is what I'm looking for. And then I'm looking for the reaction there to jump in. It's not all charts. So that's Bitcoin. And at this point, not all charts are that kind of bullish. For example, if we take a look at Ethereum here, this is Ethereum at Coinbase, and we look at this lovely rally off the lows, it looks like we've got a sideways range, doesn't it? But in fact, in Coinbase here, this was a slightly higher low and this was a slightly higher high. And what we actually have is a textbook equal ABC measured move here, which is bearish and says that in Ethereum, this is still corrective. See what I mean? See how that was? This is quite interesting, you know, because when Ethereum has lost her way before, or people aren't quite sure about the technicals, it tends to bounce from big round number to big round number. So this was a bounce from 150 down here to profit taking at 200. We've seen that before. It's just, anyway, just interesting how that sometimes works. So at the moment, this still looks to me corrective unless we get above 200 and we start turning this around in Ethereum. If not, and if I draw my fibs from the December 2018 low in this one, it looks like we're holding. See how when we bounced off the 61.8, this 50% in the middle was resistance. Looks like we're holding under this, and we could see another leg lower, and 142 would be where I'd be looking for if that's going to happen. Now, how would we know if that's going to happen? I tend to. We've already gone beyond this 236 here. So if I look at this, we're already bounced off the 50% of this low to high. I think if we lose that and we lose this level in the middle, which is 175, that would be quite a nasty bearish reversal, and we'll see some nasty more downside and more sideways for Ethereum. So far for me, this structure isn't compelling and doesn't make me want to be in ETH. If I look at ETH Bitcoin, which is also quite a good proxy for altcoins. So when ETH Bitcoin is going up, then it's usually good for altcoins, and when ETH Bitcoin is going down, then it's not so good. And here we've got ETH Bitcoin on the daily. This is an hourly chart, my apologies. On the daily chart, this move lower was really nasty. Puts us right underneath our daily moving averages, and not in a really good place at all, you know, after this, what looks like an ABC correction as well. So I would see what happens when ETH Bitcoin comes back. I think if we go more than 50% of this big red Maribosu candle, so the resistance would be halfway of the open close of this candle. And if we go beyond that, so it's going to be around sort of 0.02 something, around 2000, 0.02. If we go above there, then we are looking at back to these daily moving averages, and we see what happens here. And it may be that this is an ABC up, down, and then up, and then we do another one down, you know, to match this one. But either way, underneath all the daily moving averages, this is all still corrective and not really inspiring. Whereas in Bitcoin, we're looking for it to pull back to find support and carry on higher. In this one, this is going to be major resistance for us. So at the moment, I would say I definitely prefer Bitcoin to ETH, and let's wait for a better bottoming signal in ETH. So that's that one. Let's take a look at Litecoin, because Litecoin's sometimes a really good early warning of a move as well. It has been before. Now in this one, let's go to the daily. The problem with Litecoin is, let's do it this way. We are still stuck under our daily moving averages in Litecoin. So if we take a look at how we did here on the way down, you can see that these daily moving averages were resistance before, and they're still resistance. If we take a look at this support and resistance horizontal level, that's where we've banged our head so far. If we take a look at this, quite often, you know, when you're in a trend move, you'll look for the market to rally, and if it only goes 50% back, you'll say to yourself, oh, we're still in a downtrend. So here, this was this swing, we couldn't get above 50%. Sure enough, we were still in a downtrend. You know, here we didn't even get close to 50%. That was up here, but so we were still in a downtrend. And so for me, and I do that quite often, sometimes it'll go to the 61.8 and mess around, but 50% is quite a common in a correction in a downtrend. So here we are again, and this rally so far in Litecoin, I've deleted the wrong one, is still only 50% of this last swing lower. And so I think we really need to get above 63.74 to change that. Reversals at a 50% one way usually come back 50%, so we can expect to pull back 50% of the rally if we haven't already. And look, so far that's where we found some support. So still in a corrective pattern in Litecoin, and again, like for me, not yet as compelling as Bitcoin. If I look at Litecoin against Bitcoin, because that's always what you want to say, do I want to sell my Bitcoin and buy Litecoin or one of these other ones instead? And at the moment, the answer for me is still no. We're holding underneath these previous lows now. That was the high before the big drop. And so the next support comes in again, just like Ethereum. We're looking for a 786 Fib retrace. I'm going to take that away. We're looking for a 786 Fib retrace and a Gartley pattern at 5429. That's a bullish pattern. So that's where we have our first swing, A leg, B leg, and we're looking for C leg to terminate 5429. So that's what I'm looking for here. Now, again, if I put my fibs on from here to here like this, you can see it as a 113. So potentially support 5429 next in Litecoin against Bitcoin. And so until we do that and I see a bottom there, I really don't think that there's any mileage in being long Bitcoin, Litecoin instead of Bitcoin. You may as well stick with Bitcoin for now. Okay, so let's take Neo next, because we had a really nice move in Neo. But listen, like we just discussed, so Neo, when we had this beautiful bottoming, this is Neo Bitcoin, and for most of the alts at the moment, I'm going to be charting them against Bitcoin, because you really should be saying to yourself, if you think a new bull run has started in Bitcoin, you really should be saying to yourself, do I want to be in this, or am I better off in Bitcoin? And for Neo, this was big resistance. So from this last swing lower, this last 5-wave swing lower that we can count, this was the 50% back at 1292 and the 200 moving average. So this is what we really need to get above if we are going to make progress and reverse this downtrend. And so far, haven't done it. Do we look good? Does it look amazing the way we rallied? Yes, it does look amazing. But again, because when you stop at 150%, you're usually looking, mean reverting markets tend to keep mean reverting, which would mean 1102 now would become the level in Neo Bitcoin that we are looking for this to pull back to. And so if we make just an ABC correction, this is where I'd be looking, 1102. So hi Crypto Bear. I wish I was in a pool in Mexico, let me tell you. Although today was a nice day, but lucky you. Would I buy Neo on the USD pair? I would, Miguel. Okay, and I tell you why, because we're in a pretty nice move at the moment where a lot of stuff looks great against the US dollar. And if we look at so let's look at Neo US dollar on the lows here. Okay. How spiky is this? But okay, I shouldn't have done that. Let me do this. Okay, this is a lovely bullish move, and today, if we close here, we're closing and holding above this 200 moving average, which, you know, this market does respect. Look, support, 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 and then we get above it, support, support, and then underneath it, it's resistance. So NEO holding above the 200 moving average looks all set to me to go higher. We have stopped at this 50% level. I just don't think if you're going to do better in Bitcoin, you may as well stay in Bitcoin. What I was always looking for in NEO, and let's zoom out here, because this really comes from this support and resistance level here. Well, I just deleted. So there's this kind of funky level here. It's also, I think, a bit of a pivot level. See these low here, high, high. And so this is a big deal in, I would not just like to see us more than 50%, but I'd like to see us above this 14 level. And then I think we go clearly to the top of the range, but 26.51 would be the first, and the 236 fib level that I would be looking for next. But again, if we just stop here and if we drop back underneath this 200 moving average here in NEO US dollar, because this is a 50% level, we're going to be looking for 50% the other way, 50% the other way. We're not quite there yet. 1037. No, I haven't got it. I haven't drawn it right. My mistake. People are going, oh no, Nick, move it. Look, sir, 1007, 1007 would be a good place. Somewhere between the 50 and the 61.8 is always the ideal, isn't it? Yes, that would be a good level. So NEO. So yeah, sticking at a 50% level makes me a little bit nervous. Let's see. If we look at Bitcoin, it's just, you know, Nick, Bitcoin's got the same resistance, so I don't know why I'm being so fussy. And if I put my fibs on from this way, see how close we came to 50% being the high as well. So it may be that we come all the way back 50. So if we measure, this is from the high in June to the low down here, you know, this, you know, bar a few points was a 50%. So that does point to us looking for 50% back here in Bitcoin as well, and back to 8,900. So there we have to say. So hi Shinobi, hi Jimmy Choo, love your shoes. Jimmy Choo. Anyway, yeah. So we are, you know, here's the thing. Everybody's talking about this move in Bitcoin. Everybody's sitting there here with their sharp pencil, getting ready for where they can buy Bitcoin. So, you know, we need to be a little bit careful. And by that, I mean, you know, Bitcoin bottoms loves to like retest levels. So it may be that the first time we come back here, we'll make a bottom like this and we'll rally, and then it'll love to come back and make that slightly lower one and get everyone before it bottoms. So just be a little bit, you know, that's what they do in this market. It's a mean market, so we have to be prepared. So that's NEO. Let's take a look at some more. Let's take a look at Dashcoin Bitcoin. I've got this on the wrong chart. So now, horrible fall in Dashcoin. Lovely recovery though. Swing failure pattern. Swing failure pattern is a false breakdown. It's when you make or break out. It's when you make a new low or high, but you can't close the other side of that new low or high, and so it becomes a false breakout. And they're usually quite bullish, or if they're breakdowns, and bearish if they're false breaks higher. So how are we going to know from this if that's what we're seeing? Well, first off, my magic 236 fib is my trend guide. So in Dashcoin Bitcoin, I think if we can get above 79.14, we will see some follow through to the upside, probably at least 50% back to these highs and maybe a little bit more. But that would be my first place that I look. So like this, back to these highs. Now we've got the daily moving averages. We're going to have a lot of trouble in here in the middle first at the 38.2. In fact, we've got a bit of work to do in this one. Haven't drawn it on, but yes. So if I had to buy Dash bit against Bitcoin, I would really like to buy it if we could get above 79.14, because I think we would hold above it. That would become our bull bear line, and then we would see some more higher. And if we can't, then it's all going to struggle, and I think we may see some more downside Dash against Bitcoin. Does that mean that Dash is going to not go up against the dollar? Not necessarily, no. It just means that we haven't quite bottomed yet. So, but this swing failure pattern, this is the first kind of bullish pattern that we've seen in Dash Bitcoin for a very long time. So let's see if we can see some follow through to the upside. Now, if we look at Dash US dollar, obviously it's going to look much happier. No new lows in this one. We'll take these silly fibs away and we'll do it this way. So now, slightly higher low, okay, and sideways consolidation. So we're maybe potentially building a bit of a base here on the weekly. Here, if we look down on the daily, you can see that we are potentially making a bit of a bottoming pattern. I'm going to mark this because this 236 fib level, if we break out of this sideways range, is going to be our first target. It's at 91. And so that's 91. That's our target at 91. And here, if this is going to be a bottoming pattern, then we have to take out these highs. And what I think we may see while Bitcoin corrects is we may, hopefully, a really nice thing to see here would be a nice bullish inverted head and shoulders pattern. So we do sideways like this, we make a big base like this, and then finally break higher. That would be a nice look for Dash US dollar. But otherwise, unless we can get above 74.93, we have not reversed the trend. Remember, in a downtrend, you make lower highs and lower lows. If you want to reverse that trend, you have to start making higher highs. And at the moment, this is not what we've got here. So that's going to be our first bullish sign, a higher high, and then a pullback and a lower high, and then we're on our way. So for now, potentially still in a downtrend, just going sideways in Dash, and not the big breakout we were hoping for yet. Okay. Dalek says, is it still possible to see 7K in Bitcoin before going to 16K? Yeah, I'm afraid it is. Yeah, it is. Some Elliott Wave people were sending me saying that this was a broadening wedge, like this. So this was so A, B, C, D, E, and now we're going to make a new low. We'll find out, won't we? If we can't make a base here and turn higher from the middle, this is kind of, if you identify a really good place for support, then yeah, we could retest the lows very easily, and we could make a slightly lower low, and we could retest the bottom of that zone. But here's the thing, if we really believe, and I really do believe, that we will see 16,000, at least 16,000, I think we're going higher than that. If we really believe that, we're going to 16,000 and then 24,000 and so on, then, whether you bought it at 7,000 or whether you didn't get in until 8,800 won't matter that much. What matters is, buying it down here was pretty speculative. Yeah, we'd identified a good level, but we were in a downtrend. Buying a pullback after this move, at least you know that you're buying in an uptrend. So, it's not like nobody's going to compare what price eventually you bought your Bitcoin at. All that matters is you make money. So Miguel says he also saw some Elliott TA where this move was a second X of a W. It could be. It could be a second X of a WX. Why? It could be. I have to tell you, and I've been called out, I am not an Elliott wave specialist. I'm very good at fib stuff, and I do like a nice zigzag ABC, but I'm not an expert. So that's the problem with Bitcoin. So let's see. Right, let's do some Ripple. Ripple. Now the problem with Ripple, it's not a problem. Let's start on a weekly and let's look at where we are, because in this weekly we are in a downtrend. We're bouncing or hoping to bounce from these previous lows and retest these previous lows. If we put our fibs in all the way from this high, it's ridiculous because this high was so amazing. So, you know, we're not at an 886 or even a 942, but we are just really trying to see if we can make a base here and hold these lows. Because if we don't, we're going to go back and test these lower lows. So whenever you think you have a big ABC correction or a big correction complete, I always put my fibs over both swings. And so that's going to be like my first confirmation level. Sometimes I'll start with this on this first swing. So if we do that, we can say, yeah, we're already in a move higher, happy days. And the next place we're looking for in Ripple, dollar to the upside, if we can break these highs, is 0.34919. Really 0.35. We'll just round out 0.35. That's going to be our first upside target. There's a few problems here. Not least is this last week's weekly candle was a hanging man. If you look up a hanging man at the pattern side, you'll see that actually this is the worst performing bearish reversal candle there is. In fact, it performs better as a bullish candle. So it's not really a bearish candle. So potentially we could just keep going higher here, but just short term, we seem to be stuck. Ripple US dollar. So flat moving averages, sideways range, not much going on, and still, you know, I think corrective. Now, when you've got a site, you know, when you've got a range going on like this, you really need to break this sideways range to the upside to be going anywhere. And you can see here, we're not really. So not much doing. Have to wait for the breakout. Ripple is not dead yet, no. It's in a pullback just like Bitcoin. The most important chart then becomes Ripple Bitcoin, because when stuff does start going up again, should we be in Ripple or would we be better off in Bitcoin? That's the most important thing. And the answer is, at the moment, I don't know. Because just like Bitcoin, we've done this 61.8, 38.2 thing. So I've got my fib from this low to this high. We've pulled back to the 61.8. We couldn't close above it. In fact, we held a 50% on a close. So this looks like a pretty nice pullback to get long, isn't it? Yeah, I agree. Don't short, because there's no reason to be shorting it. And, you know, the people who are Ripple fans are wildly passionate about it. So so let's go down to a 4-hour chart here for Ripple Bitcoin. Now, when you reverse to the 61.8 fib, which we did here, you go to the 38.2, which we've done, and then if you're going to be bullish, you look for it to come back and find support at the 50% in the middle. These 50% levels, they're always really good pivot levels. So you either, you know, if you hold above it, you'll hold above it. If you get underneath it, there'll be resistance. But this level in the middle, this 50% level, 3066 is your proper bull bear line for Ripple Bitcoin. Okay, so as long as we stay above 3066, we're going to look for a break above 3233, and that'll be our long breakout. That's what we'd be looking for. But at the moment, within this kind of golden ratio zone between 2,900 really, and 3,230. We can bounce around here for a while, and we really do need to wait for a breakout. Now, it is a really nice place to pull back and rally from, and so potentially, yes, Ripple is setting up to outperform Bitcoin. So if we do break out on the upside here, where are we going to go? First off, well, the first time that we didn't quite tag this 200 moving average, and look at this big double bottom level back here. I think that that's got to be at 4,000, our first target. This retest of this double bottom level, and then big picture in Ripple Bitcoin, we are, and I'm going to show you this on a monthly chart because it's easier. Okay, so big picture in Ripple Bitcoin, we are bouncing from, I've got my fibs from this low to this high. We're bouncing from an 886 fib level. When you do that, if you get above the 786, which is the fib you broke underneath, your target is back to the 50%. So that's a massive move potentially. Let's go to a weekly chart. That's a massive move for Ripple if we can get above 4,917. This swing here is the meat in our sandwich, okay? That's the trade, So short term, our resistance would be 4,917. Okay, if you're trading Ripple against Bitcoin and your chart is going up, it could be that Bitcoin is going up in value as well, but Ripple is going to go up more. That's what we're looking for, isn't it? When we buy Ripple again with our Bitcoin, we're looking for Ripple to go up more than Bitcoin. Okay? Because in a bull market in this crypto, very often they all go up. They'll all be in uptrends. You want to be in the one that's doing better, if you like. So this is why we started with the Ripple US dollar. We'll go back to Ripple US dollar. So I do think that, yes, potentially, we have potential for Ripple to set up for a bigger move where it would, and the haters are going to hate, but it is setting up potentially for a move where it would break out. So first stop on the daily chart, what we're looking for is a break above these highs where we're stuck, and we have been stuck now for 2 weeks underneath 0.30525. It's time for plan B. Do I realize the volume needed to jump that high? Where will it come from? Do you know, sometimes in crypto, it's like it's like water sloshing around in a bath. So everybody's looking at the same things. And so, we'll have a quiet period and we'll have a pullback in Bitcoin and most alts, and Ripple will be the only one going up, and everybody will jump on it until it stops going, and then they'll jump off. And that's where the volume comes from, I believe, anyway. So one thing that, about Ripple is, when it moves, it really does, really moves, Lots of Ripple fanboys, went all in Link. Yeah, Link did really well, and I'm quite a big Link fan. We're just in a bit of a pullback at the moment there. So, okay, let's look at some Bitcoin's cashes, because some of these are looking quite interesting. So we've got, normally I would say in a downtrend, when you get a pattern like this, a sideways wedge or a triangle, it usually breaks to the downside, but then it's usually the last leg in the move, and then you see a sharp reversal going the other way. So I'm a little bit hesitant when I look at this daily chart of Bitcoin Cash ABC against Bitcoin. This makes me nervous that we're looking at a wave 1, 2, 3, and this is an extended wave 4. And so for me, what the most bullish look here would be if we broke down, made a new low, false break, and then followed by a rapid bounce off the lows in Bitcoin Cash ABC. And because of that, unless we actually break out from this wedge to the upside, I'm not that tempted, to be honest, with Bitcoin Cash ABC. If we did, I think then we'll make a bigger ABC correction. Or clearly, we'll come back to this 200 moving average, which is where we would be 38.2 of this most recent swing. That's a very common retrace of a wave 3. And so if we break to the upside, your target is 3724 and the 200 moving average. And I would take some 38.2 levels can be messy, but I would take some profit there because I think that we could still see another leg lower. Otherwise, I expect us to not break out and actually make a move lower before we go higher for Bitcoin Cash Bitcoin. So it's not my favorite buy. It's not outperforming Bitcoin, and I don't see a reason to buy it at the moment. Unlike Bitcoin Cash SV, and now the haters are really going to go, because this one has made a really spectacular move. Now, we talked about fib rules, haven't we? So if you reverse it, so from this low in April 19 to the high in June, we bounced from an 886 fib pullback. This was after the nasty drop, okay? When you reverse an 886 fib, if you get above the 786 fib, which was here, which we did eventually, got above it, retested it, carried on, your target is the 50%, and we've done it perfectly. So now I would expect a bit of consolidation, or maybe a shallow pullback. Maybe we come back and retest this 200 moving average and 129 level. But then Bitcoin Cash SV US dollar, if we break above 153.76, our next target is the 236 fib up here at 208. So that's quite a nice return. It's really important though we get above 153. Giselle says Bitcoin halving coming up. Yeah. And look how Litecoin played out. Of course, everyone was talking about Litecoin, weren't they? Yeah, so we could see a bit of Bitcoin dominance until then. So, but if you're looking at Bitcoin Cash SV and we're looking for this really strong move to continue, 153.76 is key. And again, we need to make sure we want to buy this, so we need to make sure that it's going up, or it's going to do better for us than Bitcoin. Otherwise, we may as well be in Bitcoin. And as you can see in this one, Bitcoin Cash SV against Bitcoin, we haven't hit our target yet. We've reversed at an 8. We reversed lower than an 886. There is a fib, a 942, okay, which not many people use. Comes underneath the 886, and when you reverse at that, your target is I'm just going to move this down. Your target is the 61.8. So I think in this one as well, we may have hit our back to the 61, our target. So I'm going to stay bullish for now because clearly we've made a really nice reversal and clearly we're holding above the 200 moving average. But if we fell back underneath this 200 moving average, for me that would be party over for a bit and looking for a much bigger pullback in Bitcoin Cash SV. So as long as we hold above 0.014, I think it looks pretty good. Miguel, yeah, Litecoin certainly did. It certainly did. So there we go. Okay, if 786 is the square root of 61.8, 886 is the square root, and then 942 is the next fib. And we'll do that another day. I'll explain about it another day. But yeah, the target becomes one lower, unfortunately. Okay, let's look at some waves. We haven't looked at waves for a bit. We're looking at waves Bitcoin. We're looking for where might waves Bitcoin come back to for us to buy again. I'm going to tidy this up because this isn't working. Put regular candles on here on the monthly. This is a bit, honestly, maybe Waves at Binance is not probably the best history. Let's see if we've got more history here. Yes, we have at Bittrex. So If in doubt, go to Bittrex for more history. Now, we are underneath these previous lows, which means at 14,000, which means if we're going to turn this around, we need to get back Waves Bitcoin back above this 14,000 level. So let's go down to the daily and see how we're doing down here, because we're a long way off. Now our first target is going to be back to that 14,000 level. We're not there yet. We're still in a horrible downtrend. I really, at this point, don't see, in terms of price action, in terms of moving averages, in terms of fib projections, I don't see any reason to be looking at waves at the moment. I would like to see it build a base. See how we built a bit of a base here. So we made a low. We kind of retested it, but we held it. We went sideways in a sideways range. But we couldn't break it, and when eventually we broke it to the downside. We need to do this all again. We need to build a base, go sideways, stop going down and go sideways for a bit, and then see, which way are we gonna break out of this range, and then go from there. So for me, waves against Bitcoin, you're way better off in Bitcoin. You know, there's nothing to do here yet. If we go to a monthly, go back to a monthly. Sometimes these projections from the corrections in the downswing, let's try it with a weekly, see them better. They work as really good fib projection levels. So for example, we go from here to here, and this 1.618 kind of gave us a level that the 1272 sometimes does as well. We'll take out those ones in the middle we don't want. So, but yeah, that's not really working there. The most recent one I always think is the best. Now, when we do this here, this 1272 isn't going to work because it's a negative number. So the 113 is the only one I think that we would be looking at for maybe some support. Go on, we're underneath as well. 10,989. So yeah, waves against Bitcoin, definitely better off in Bitcoin at the moment. And really we need to see something spectacular. So if we can't build a base, the only other thing, I'm going to go back to the daily, the only other thing that, see how all the way down in this downtrend, you know, if we did something really spectacular, so if we rallied more than 50% and got above these daily moving averages and then made a higher low, okay, that would be interesting. And then, you know, then we can draw a bigger thing and say, okay, take out these highs and we're going somewhere. But until then, you know, I would leave waves alone. Sorry. Okay, Stratos, one we haven't looked at for a while. You know, you have, in previous years, you always remember your worst trade and your best trade. So I have to say that Stratos features in my one of my worst ones, unfortunately. So now we've missed this 886. Let's see this. Yeah, I have a feeling that we're in this final stages and holding under these moving averages. I think that our support may be a little bit lower here. Let's try it from there. Yeah. Again, you know, I don't really... This potentially is a swing failure pattern because we tried to make a new low in Stratos against Bitcoin and we couldn't. So potentially we could rally from here. We should rally at least back to first resistance, which would be the 236 fib, and I think we might be above it already. Yeah, we are. So our next target is going to be here, the 50% back. See how both these daily moving averages are bunched up here as well? 3803 is where I would expect Stratos at this point to top out. So grinding higher and see what happens at 3803. If we get above it and we get above those daily moving averages, happy days. We could have a bit of a move on And when you've got a swing failure or any kind of a double bottom, okay, so this is our double bottom down here. Whenever you've got that, then your target is always back to the top of the range. So that's going to be up here. So above these daily moving averages, above this 3,800 level, look for the top of the range. But otherwise, still in a downtrend really for me. And not, you know, when you have a sideways range in flat moving averages, you should be buying the bottom and selling the top. So yeah, let's see if you get a buy entry potentially. The much better trade would be to wait for the break of these highs and the pullback retest, and then that would be for sure us going up rather than sideways. But yeah, there's nothing wrong. So if we, for example, if we pull back here and we made, you know, we made a really nice double bottom or higher low, or just, you know, retested this like this, yeah, maybe try a little and see what happens at the top of the range. Okay, so Stratos, maybe we're going sideways. EOS is an interesting pattern that you do not see very often. This is a 4-hour diamond pattern. So at the moment we're stuck in the middle, and this diamond pattern is at a quite interesting, this is EOS Bitcoin. Remember, we're looking at everything against EOS tonight because we want to make sure everything is going to go up against, otherwise we may as well be in Bitcoin. So I really do like the reaction at this 786 fib, but otherwise these fibs have been a bit woolly for EOS Bitcoin. But this one, this base we're building here, potentially diamond patterns can go either way. So this could be either a consolidation pattern before we continue the trend, or it could be a trend reversal pattern. Until we bake out, we don't know. The best ones have kind of parallel lines like this. So this should be kind of parallel like that, if we've drawn this right, which we haven't. Anyway, that's how we are at the moment with EOS Bitcoin. So if you're looking to buy this, we're looking to buy a break of this upper trend line, 3,800. That's around the price I'm looking at. And big picture on the daily, remember, if you reverse at an 886 fib, if you get back above the 786 fib, which was a big level, and the 200 moving average, then our target is all the way up here, 12,600. So, you know, if we do see a big Bitcoin move, I know you're all looking at me like I'm crazy saying these numbers, but if we do see a big move in Bitcoin, then eventually, you know, the profit taking will spread out, and we could see some big moves in these bigger altcoins like this. If we look at this, that's what the move would be. So this is our resistance in these previous lows, 5,850. Above 5,850, we're looking for 12,600 in EOS Bitcoin, and a breakout from this diamond pattern. We're going to have a quick peek at EOS US dollar, because if we think we might have a little bullish pattern going on, you always want to make sure this one's going up. And here we've got a really nice double bottom in EOS US dollar that has triggered. Okay, this is a daily chart. When you break the highs, which we've done today. Okay, let me put regular candles on. Have we? Oh, no, damn, not quite. We're right on it, aren't we? Looking for, so just like EOS Bitcoin in the diamond pattern, we're looking for a breakout here in EOS US dollar from this double bottom pattern and a move higher. And an easy way would say 50% of this swing. That's where 3.409. Really want to get above there. Then we're on our way. So potential bottoms in EOS. MCO is next. Here is MCO. It's been a while. MCO. I'm going to start on a weekly chart with this one as well. because we've hit a lot of resistance in MCO. Okay, we've hit the weekly 20 moving average, and from this most recent swing lower, the big one, which is really we're looking at, if I move it to here, we're looking at 2019 highs to lows. What we couldn't get above was this 236 fib level. It kept defeating us, and so, you know, until we do, we're really stuck, and we're not really in an uptrend, even though it's looked pretty impressive on the daily, and we did look like we got above it. These previous highs are what tripped us up. So a bit of a pullback at the moment. Now, sometimes if we're going to stay in an uptrend, aren't we? If we say, if we hold these lows here, and maybe we have another go and we get above this level, that's what I'd really, really like to see. And so if MCO is going to do it around here or around this moving average is where we're going to look. So lower time frame, that's what we're looking at. So if I had been long and I'm swinging this, I probably wouldn't want to see it below 4,200. I'd like to see it stick and have another go at breaking the highs. If you had some and got out of it back above 4,600, I'd be buying. I'd be all over it. And that's what I really want to see. So at the moment, I'm a bit concerned that the party is over in MCO Bitcoin. Does that mean that the party's over in MCO dollar, or that you're going to lose money? Not necessarily. Remember, Big Daddy's beating everything. But the concern here in MCO US dollar. Okay, so we've got that 200-day moving average, and look, perfect equal measured move. So now, if we're looking at MCO against the dollar, that's what we've got to beat, 4.51. Above 4.51, that takes all these worries away. But at the moment, taking them away, at the moment, yeah, could see quite a big pullback from here after an ABC. Normally, okay, so if you see equal ABCs like this, very often the level you're looking for is 786 all the way back. So that's 2.95. So don't let this one come back too far or reverse on you in MCO. Okay, next one. Hello, CND. Yeah, I'm going to talk about BNB. I know people are waiting for that one. Hold on. An awful lot of goods. It's been quite disappointing because an awful lot of altcoins that looked really good, just kind of their patterns, and they failed, they stopped, they made corrective patterns or big ABCs, and so not everything looks amazing, unfortunately. Hold on, I'm on the wrong place. Okay, let's see. I better find it. That's no good. Here we go, CND Bitcoin. Okay, we're not going to look at that chart. We better look at Binance chart. There we go. Syndicator. Now, I put my fib projections. I could do it like this. And here's my 1272. Or I could do it like this. Top of the range like this, which is... the point is that this 1272, we got underneath it, and now it's resistance. So that was ours. Look, this is what I mean about sideways ranges. See how we did this here in Syndicator, sideways, and then eventually, damn it, it broke down. So that's where we are with this one. Nothing we can do. This spike low is also where our 1272 is, and it's round number 100. So it looks like we're struggling to get back above 100 and close and hold above 100. If we zoom in, look, we tried last week twice, couldn't close above it. That was the high. We had a look, but we couldn't stay above it. I'd really like this to turn up quite quickly, because if we're going to make an inverted head and shoulders pattern here, the best ones have quite good symmetry. That means that the left shoulder is similar size to the right shoulder. Now say we say, okay, all this is our right shoulder, left shoulder, and we'll do it a bit like this. We could fudge it a little bit, but you know, we need to turn up soon and get back above this level, or nothing's going on, and that inverted head and shoulders pattern really isn't in play. Instead, what we just have is a sideways range where 118 was the highs. This big round number 100 is a big bear in the middle, and we've just got a sideways thing going on in Syndicator. So yeah, stuck at previous low. Now what we would really like to see here, of course, see how there's such an important level, this 100 is we'll call it an Adam and Eve. So here's our spike low, here's our spike low, and here's our rounded bottom. That would be very nice, but we need to start turning up soon and getting back above that 100 level. And until then, I probably would leave Syndicator alone. You know, just because it's cheap doesn't mean it can't keep going lower. So we'll take a quick look at CND US dollar. Sometimes we see it looks a bit more hopeful here, but you know, really this is still sideways stuck, isn't it? So this is the previous low that we're stuck underneath from here at the moment anyway, and just really we're just sideways, not really anything going on. So not yet. Now if we broke these highs, and yeah, probably wouldn't then. No. See, I think this is 50% where it keeps there. Now, if we got back above that 50% level, I'd say, okay, now we're going to retest these highs up here and the 200-day moving average at 0.012. But this would be my trigger. Like, I would not. It's just kind of gone on too long. That's my problem with CND. So I just don't believe that all of these altcoins are going to recover. And when I look at a chart like this, it starts to look like, no disrespect, but this is not one of the ones that's going to recover. Sorry. Okay, so let's look at BNB, which is one of the more interesting ones. There are some people that believe that BNB is going to be like the Amazon of crypto. No names, but here we've got the same issue. We've got flat moving averages. We're going sideways. What got my attention in BNB against Bitcoin is that we didn't make a new low, and that we had really quite a strong reaction here. So I'm thinking, you know, this could actually, with this lows here, turn into maybe an inverted head and shoulders pattern. So here's our left shoulder, head, and now we're hopefully building the right shoulder. Now remember, if they have symmetry, so they're kind of equal size, then we've got a bit of time for us to build this right shoulder here. We could count it from here when we started consolidating, and even then we've still got to the 3rd of November, and if we count it from here, we've got until, gosh, the 12th of November. So we don't have to be too rushing. But yes, BNB does have a real use case and an adoption. So and you know, Binance is one of the hot exchanges. So will it last? Will they keep innovating and keep everyone's attention? Let's hope. I'm going to zoom out now because to the weekly, because we'll look at fib rules for targets, because all-time lows to highs in BNB Bitcoin, we're bouncing from a 61.8. So now, if I'm wrong about the inverted head and shoulders pattern here, so we should normally then look for the 38.2, but only if we break the 50% here in the middle, which is clearly a bit of a level looking at these lows. Okay, now if I'm wrong about this being an inverted head and shoulders pattern, and this is just an ABC correction, then that was the first swing, and the second swing, equal measured move, takes us exactly to that level. So if we're going to stay bearish and we're going to fail in BNB Bitcoin, the level that it's going to happen at is about 24,300. So 24,300 becomes our kind of bull bear line. Above it, we're going to look for 29,900. So 24,200, 29,900, and then above there, rock and roll. You know, we really will have made a bottom hopefully, and we'll be on our way back higher because we will be back above the 200-day moving average. So I am watching BNB closely, and may nibble on some. I'm just watching to see if we can close above this 20 moving average. Now we've got this bullish cross. So let's see. So for me, the way I like to trade, gosh, this looks quite nice. The problem is, what if this is another little hourly ABC? That would be so, look, it is. So see how this is, see what I mean? This is two equal swings. If we roll over from here, that says correction. So I'm going to buy it if we get above this 200 hourly moving average and go beyond this bearish symmetry. Then I'm going to buy BNB. So for a test at our bull bear line. So for me, above 22,000, that would be what I would be looking for in BNB. So, okay. So there we are. Everyone's watching for the big pullback in Bitcoin and where we go from here. I get a lot of questions. Here's the question. So here's, I've got Coinbase. Let me go to Bitstamp. Bitstamp. Okay, we'll look at the weekly regular candles on this and we'll have a bit of a chart tidy up here. Okay, one of the big questions I get asked mostly is, do I think this correction was just a big A leg and this is a B leg and we're going to do another C leg in Bitcoin? And so in other words, we're just doing, this was A, B, C down, and we're going to do A, B, C up, and then another one zigzag down. The answer is, I don't know. I think that this first leg to me looked pretty bullish and impulsive. But if we move higher from here, what we're about to see is what they call in Elliott wave 3 of 3. So if that unfolds really strongly, then that will tell us, no, probably not a big ABC, but probably new impulse wave that will take us to new highs. And we really kind of aren't going to know until we see how this unfolds. So that's what I'm looking at. I think I missed out TRX. That wasn't very good. Thank you for the reminder, Zahid. I appreciate it. Let's take a look at TRX, because TRX is, here's why I like TRX. Okay, we're going to, again, start with the weekly chart. And we're going to look at fib levels. So I had a big cluster of fib levels troubles from this swing, the 236 fib. And I had a projection from here, this 1272, that I wanted to see us get it back above. Okay, and you can see that it was resistance because the first time that we came up towards it, we got knocked back here. So I'm thinking that this is starting to, today we made a move to new highs, whether you count these fibs or not. And if, let's say that we don't count them, we've made a really nice move above them today. And my target is up here at the 200 moving average next at 276. And so let's just say that this previous low is, and this fib level is 215. That's where I think the support will be. So now, if you're looking for a pullback, we're looking for us to hold above 215 and carry on higher. So my next target is going to be these lows here and the 200 moving average, which is at 276. And then I'm going to do the big fib. So I'm going to go from this whole swing. So we'll hide that. I'll say okay from there to there. So come on, sorry. There we go. We want to see these. I put the wrong one on. 236. There we go. So actually 306. So 2706 and 306. Why do I like this first fib level as a target? Because it lines up really well with structure. You know, that's when you kind of know you've got them right. So this lows and these highs here at 300, 306 are my target, and it's at 224 now. So shallow pullback, and then yeah, this one, whichever way you draw it above these highs, I think it looks really good to continue higher. I love this bullish cross. And when you do that, you're always looking for the 200 moving average. WTC and VET, hi, Law. Okay, VET, we talked about VET in the group this morning, and the reason we talked about it is because it made a kind of a disappointing rally as well, as in an ABC correction. So here's that. Vechain. So in this one, you know, last swing lower in our downtrend. So this is the level that we had to reverse the trend. It's a support and resistance level at 50. And when we got here, this was 2 equal swings. And so a little bit bearish. And we've had since then a pretty nasty, the equal swing was to here, but we hit these previous highs. So all of this combined to not be a great look. If you look even on the 4-hour or even down on the hourly, we couldn't close above that equal measured move level. It was just a spike above it. So that says to me Vechain against Bitcoin is back to underperforming. Now, it may be that we're just making a base here. And, you know, this is really just a sideways range, isn't it? There's now got a double top on the highs, double top on the bottom. But we need to see something a bit more. Now, if we held the support of these daily moving averages here, even though they're flat, sometimes they can work as support and resistance. And it was just 50% back and we had a really strong move higher again. I would look at it, but I think above 50 would now really needs to be our trigger. And if we get above 50, our target is 63, then the 200 moving average, and then 50% of this whole drop, which is my preferred level, mainly because of this around here, you know, that's where I'd be looking for next. But so far, still building a base in Vechain and not, you know, not quite sure it's ready to go yet. So better off in Bitcoin in that one. And what was the other one you asked for? WTC. Yeah, let's take a look at that one. Okay, WTC. Somewhere around here. Walton. Ta-da. Now, this one, I think, has a chance here. And even though we haven't got back above our daily moving averages yet, why do I think I have a chance here? Because I'm just going to play with these fibs and take these ones in the middle here away because I don't need them. Because we reached this 1272 fib extension. So we went from here to here, and this is the 1272, 672. I think if we can bounce from here, we may be finished. So, but the confirmation for me is going to be first or above that daily 50 moving average. And then when we do, I've still got that 886 drawn, haven't I? Let's take that away. No, thank you. Okay, so now I'm going to do this, put them on in a different color. We'll go red, and we just want to know where that 236 fib comes in, like that. It's all around the same level as these previous lows. So if we can break out here from this consolidation above this 50 moving average, we're going to be looking back to 1162. That's our first target, and that's going to be where we're, if we can't get above there, we're still in a downtrend. But if we can, happy days, we're going to look up to the 200 moving average. So not clear yet so far, you know, it's just a couple of green candles in a downtrend. Let's go down a time frame. See how we might get a clue that we might be going higher from here. This foreign is not doing it, is it? Here's a downward level. Let's see if we can find some support here and start turning up on this hourly and make a bit of a basing pattern. That would be a decent look, maybe. Definitely above 900 we're going to make a move, but something like that on the bottom here I'd be looking for. Bit of a bottoming pattern. It is a great level to find support. The problem is that we don't always get the pattern we're looking for. Sometimes we get a big fat, double bottom. That would be really good as well. Sometimes we go below the level we want and then we make, head and shoulders, and, so we do need to be a little bit patient, but definitely above 900, Walton would have my attention against Bitcoin. So that one has potential, yeah. And ADA, yeah. Samsung China FOMO, the US resident stamp. I know. Okay, let's see ADA. Now, ADA dollar, just like everything else, okay, ADA dollar does look really bullish, like it really wants to make a bottom. So this one, if we look at ADA dollar, okay, this is, let's have a tidy up here. Don't want that. Okay, this is a double bottom in an 886 fib, okay, in ADA dollar. When you reverse it in 886 fib, if you can get above the 786 fib, which is this high, your target is back to the 50%, which is here. So that then becomes our sideways range. If we can break out of it to the upside in ADA dollar, our target is 0.07170, 50% of this low in December last year to the high. So looking good in that respect. The problem is, should you be in ADA or are you going to be better in Bitcoin? So we'll look at Bitcoin in a minute on the 1 hour. So now we're going to look at ADA Bitcoin and say, do we really want to be in ADA or do we want to be in something else? Okay, because this is unlike, Walton that we just looked at, which was holding a 127 fib extension. ADA's holding underneath it. Now, are we doing a really good job of, we had a little diamond here. Are we doing a really good job of holding the lows and the bottom of the range? Yes, we are. We haven't broken down. We haven't broken out yet. But just like ADA dollar, where we had that 786 fib level that we have to break above to confirm we're going up, we have to get above 528 in ADA Bitcoin to confirm our double bottom and that we are going to go up and outperform Bitcoin. Then we're going to look back to these lows and the 200 moving average at 830. So we've got really nice upside. But at the moment, ADA, I'd like to think that we're building a base. But, with crypto, we could just as easily do this. And, So, Eric, that's what I'm thinking. I'm hopeful. But I'd really like to see those levels break higher, to be sure. And then, last but not least, we'll look at Bitcoin. What do I... So, Bitcoin's very squeezy. And squeezy means there's an awful lot of people who think that they've really missed out. And that they're never going to get back in at a decent price. And so as soon as it goes green and they think it's going out, they jump in. I'm not sure that this correction is finished yet. Okay, let me zoom in, let's show you what I mean. So if this was our first swing lower, and this was our high, if our second swing, our C leg, is just 61.8 of the first leg, we're going to come back and retest these lows at 9,000. And it might be, that it might be that we just hold here and bounce from here. We might not come back to 8,000 and anything. But what tends to happen, and so far in this, see how this has been 5 waves like this and then 5 waves. And so I think we've just seen 1, 2, and we're going to see 3, 4, 5. Now there might be little short ones. So we go like this and each one, and we end up here and then rally. Or it might be that we do the bigger one and this, and we, but I'm not a buyer yet, although Now, I might connect these. I might put an alert here, and if it went above that trend line, then I'd be going, yeah, maybe. And but no, I still think that we've got another push lower before we go higher. So this price action, these hourly, on the hourly, the moving averages are flat. So that means that we don't have a trend. We're going flat. Okay, if we draw go back here, we draw our trend line from the highs very carefully. We don't use these funny high Kanashi candles, we use proper ones. And we connect the highs like this. Then, you know, we're having a little fight around this price. Okay, at the moment, I have a bid, I think we haven't moved it. I think it was 8,820, but I need to revise it because it went a little bit higher than I thought. 9,050 might be all that we come down to, but I'm holding out for 8,500. But if I saw a big bullish reaction here, I would, yeah, I probably would. Here's the thing, I would buy a little and see if it keeps going up, and then I'd buy some more. Because if I buy a little, it would be, in my head, I would say, okay, I'm going to buy a little here without leverage because I'm okay then if it still drops down to 8,500, and then I'll buy some more. And then I'm going to use a stop, because if we go kind of more than 61.8 of this, then Bitcoin's going to do one of those really nasty retests of the lows, and if not lower. And so that's, you know, I'm going to be watching very carefully. I wouldn't want us back underneath like the hourly 200 moving average or much more than that. So, you know, we can do a really deep retest. So, I should do ASMR. What would I talk about? I could just read books or something. Yeah. TRX Z19. Let's see. Gosh, isn't this a lovely bullish chart? Now, the problem is it's not a huge problem. So we'll start with the daily, because we don't have as much information on here as we do on a price chart. But yes, this is super bullish. So we go from this first swing. Let's see on our fib projections, where are we likely to go? So we're going to do that. No, not you. That one. Okay, so from this low to high, you can see how the 1.618 was our perfect first target, and then we've broken above it. Now this should be support, and we're going to look now for 254. I'm going to do this again in a different color from this one, low to high as well, because what I want to see is confluence. I want to see where it all lines up at the same level. So we have grey, and there we can see now that 1.618 of this swing lines up with the 2.618 of this swing. So we've got interim resistance here. So this should be resistance. This is support then at 210, resistance at 228. So we're looking for it to pull back, and then that's our next target up here at 250, between 251 and 254 in TRX Z19 Jack. I hope that helps. Now, yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Now, let's go down and see how we're looking underneath here. Oh, look, this level that we said would be support, in fact, has already been tested twice. So it may be that we've already done this, what we need to do here at this level. And let's see. So it may be, look, we just have a little pullback and then carry on higher, because we've already held it twice. So that's pretty cool. Basic attention token. Hello, Andreas. Last one. Is it here? Yes. So this is a really good chart. This chart is a really good example of the power of the 236 fib. So this is basic attention taken against Bitcoin daily chart. This is the high in April and the low that we made in September. And when we bought this with this bullish cross, so we got a bullish cross of our daily moving averages. We pulled back to them to find support and rallied off of them. So this was our long entry here. And our target was back to, when you get a bullish cross of your moving averages, back to the 200 moving average. And we hit our target, and we also double topped at the big 236 fib level. So unfortunately now, we're still not yet in an uptrend, having failed there. Our hope now is that we're going to do a pullback somewhere between the 50 and the 61.8 and make a right shoulder and turn higher from here. That would be a very good look, because that would then look like, but it would have to be very tight, because as you know, I like symmetry in these things, and this is a very narrow little pointy right shoulder, isn't it? We need to go really quickly from here to do that symmetrically. Otherwise, I think we just have to wait and let this make a base. Now, if we measure from this low to high this way, we're at the 50% now. The 61.8 is a little bit lower. We're sitting on the 50. This, we could drop potentially a little bit lower. Somewhere in this zone is where I think we'll find support and then turn up higher again and go higher. Okay. Hello, Rob. Okay. Well, I used to be a military air traffic controller, and then I went and got a job at Heathrow. And before I was at Heathrow, there were a whole bunch of controllers that were recruited by a hedge fund, a bank actually. They wanted to see, they did an experiment to see if air traffic controllers made good traders. And they found out that actually air traffic controllers didn't make very good traders, because they weren't very good at taking risk. And of all of them that they recruited, only one made it. And it was the only one who was a female. And she didn't just make it, but she absolutely smashed it. And I was so jealous. You know, as a child, my mom like had a small little share account, and we used to I used to trade shares, and we used to look up the prices in the paper and mark them on graph paper. And I thought it was really cool. Anyway, so ever since I heard about this woman, you know, I always thought, God, I wish I'd have done that. And I wish they'd have recruited me, and I'd have absolutely smashed it. And so I had this thing in my back of my head forever that, you know, I could have been a trader. Why am I in aviation? And so later on down the road, I left Heathrow and I went to Canada for a bit, made a bit of money. And I joined one of those dating sites, you know, where they ask you a gazillion questions and they match you up with someone that gets on really well with you. And I met this guy from Boston who was the ghostwriter for a trader on Wall Street who wrote a book. And he gave me his trading book. And I was like, bloody hell, this technical analysis I could do this. So I decided that that's what I was going to do with my money. So I did my aviation job in the daytime, and then I did my trading at nighttime, because in Canada at the time, which is where I was, you could trade the you could trade the UK and the European Open at sort of 2 a.m. So I would trade from 2 a.m. till 7, have a shower, go to work, and then go to bed really early. For a couple of years I did that, learning to trade. So yeah, I got a little bit obsessive about it. Okay, that's my history. Then I ended up, you know, and then I've had, you know, and then I got a record, and then you make a bit of money, then you lose a bit of money, and then you decide, you know, you're going to knuckle down. I only traded one thing. I only traded oil for a bit. Then I had a bit of a better record. Then I got a job at a hedge fund. I've worked at 2, you know. I've worked for a technical analysis company that provides technical analysis to hedge funds. So been around. And then, yeah, so I was in a trading room, an online trading room, and one of our friends in the trading room, this was in 2011, started talking about, he used to buy his drugs on the Silk Road, which we hadn't even heard of. And he was like, Bitcoin, Bitcoin, Bitcoin. And he went on and on and on about it and told us to buy Bitcoin. So we all bought some. And I bought Bitcoin at $11. I lost it. I lost all my keys for ages. And when I found them again, Bitcoin was $220. I did some fibs and went, holy cow, this is the high. So I sold all my Bitcoin at $220, thought I was a financial genius. And of course, the rest is history. And then, of course, Bitcoin flew through $220. But the weird thing is, and let's look at it, because it actually came back and retested that level. And I should have bought it. I guess I'm still trading Bitcoin because I've got FOMO from when I missed it back then at 200. Let's see. I'm trying to find it. Anyway, yeah, the rest is history. So I guess after that, I just kind of charted it. Look, here, came back to, this is, so, okay, this is, all right. So this is where I bought, this is where I sold, this is what it did after that, and this is where it came back to my level, and I should have bought it, and I didn't. And so ever since then, I've been, like, chasing it. So there we go. Yeah, but this was quite a wave, but I should have bought it back. But I kind of was busy, really busy in another job and was doing other things. And so then it like really had my attention after this. So yeah, then I started like charting Bitcoin every day, trading it and watching it. And yeah, so that was that really. Then how did everyone heard about me? I was never associated with crypto. And then there was a guy writing an article at CNBC, and he knew I was a technical analysis because I did it a lot. Connor, mate, you have to cancel your subscription yourself at PayPal, but you can stay in the group for as long as you need to. I'm really sorry to hear that. Anyway, so yeah, everyone was really, really bullish about Bitcoin, and I said I thought it was going to top out. I think it was around here. Was it 18? Anyway, was back here around 2017, and so I was in this quoted on CNBC, and so ever since then, people have associated me with crypto. So I thought, well, I better do a bit more, and yeah. And then I was at this fund, and I found that I was working at this fund, and I found that I was doing more and concentrating more on crypto than anything else. So I quit my job, and that was it really. The rest is history. And Connor, I'm really sorry, mate. Stay as long as you need to in the group. Okay. All right. MDA. Is it MDA somebody asked for? Lol. Any thoughts on MDA? Moeda. I'm a little bit of a secret Moeda fan. But I can't remember to be honest, I can't remember what it's doing right now. Because I'm not. Okay, and here's another one. Moeda. This is another one where we couldn't break that trend. This last 5-wave swing lower, the highs, we've got stuck. It wasn't really a 236 fib. It was a bit messy in Moeda against Bitcoin. And that's probably because this is a big ABC, and I should probably have put my fibs on from this high. And if I do that, then this level makes a whole lot more sense than the reaction that we got here. And look at this for support and resistance if we go left in Moeda. So we can see that 13,841 is a massive support resistance pivot line. What we'd really like to see in Moeda here, if we're going to do something rather than just fail at this level, is turn higher with a higher low here. What would be my trigger at this point? When I look at this on the daily, I really want to see this back above this 200 moving average, or back above this sideways range that we seem to be in, and then I'd be looking for a retest of that 13,840 level, and above there I'd be on my way. So there we go. I'm going to put 9,880, because that's like really 10,000, isn't it? So if we can get back above 10,000, we will have reversed our trend, got out of our sideways range here in MDA, and we'll be looking for a retest of 13,840. Above 13,840, we have a big deal bottom, big deal level, big deal bottom. It looks like it's building a nice base, doesn't it? Okay, that's Merida. All right, everyone. Okay, good night. Thanks for coming. See you next week. Bye. Bye, everyone.